Your top stories this evening sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. United States reaffirms commitment to transparent, peaceful elections in Guyana. U.S. ambassador says political stability is important. Not a square inch will be ceded. President Ali says ahead of Venezuela's illegal elections. And government to inject $4 billion into indigenous villages and communities in 2025. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm Travis Chase with the Wednesday, May 21 edition of the HGP Nightly News. Here's what you need to know this evening. As Guyanese await the date for the holding of regional and general elections, there is word from the United States ambassador to Guyana reaffirming her country's commitment to transparent, peaceful elections here. Here is more. The United States is keeping a close eye on the run-up to general and regional elections here in Guyana, and the U.S. ambassador to Guyana, Nicole Theriot, is reaffirming her country's commitment to supporting transparent and peaceful elections. The ambassador was at the time speaking at the Private Sector Commission's annual general meeting. Theriot stressed on the importance of U.S. interest in the region and political stability.
We are also focused on promoting regional stability and energy security, which truly makes Guyana our perfect partner. We greatly value our strong working relationship with the government and, of course, the private sector, including the PSC, and remain committed to working with you to promote a transparent, predictable regulatory environment that welcomes U.S. and international investment.
Ambassador Theriot said U.S. investors are particularly concerned about political and civil unrest in Guyana, especially pre- and post-elections.
But investment requires more than just a favorable business climate. By far, the two most common concerns that we hear from U.S. companies looking at potentially investing or working in Guyana are political and civil unrest, especially surrounding elections, and Venezuela.
The diplomat referenced the 2020 elections as a testimony of the U.S.'s commitment to upholding democratic values.
Regarding elections, both the United States Embassy and the PSC demonstrated our commitment to peace, justice, and transparency in the aftermath of the 2020 elections. We learned valuable lessons that we will apply this year to help ensure elections are free and fair, and the people of Guyana can trust the electoral process.
Government spokesperson Vice President Barra Jagdeo had disclosed that the next general elections will likely be held in November of 2025. President AFRI said that a date for this year's elections will be determined within the constitutional time frame. According to the president, the People's Progressive Party civic government will adhere to the Constitution, assuring Guyanese that it will never go beyond its constitutional mandate. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Not a square inch will be ceded. That's the word from Guyana's president 4 days ahead of Venezuela's planned sham elections for the Essequibo region. You'll have more details in this report. Ahead of Venezuela's decision to hold elections to appoint a governor to oversee things in Guyana's Essequibo, President AFRI is making it clear, once again, that Guyana will not bow to Venezuela's antics.
We are respectful of international order, the international rule of law. We continue to ask all residents to be proud of our heritage, fly your golden arrowhead very high, knowing that not a square inch would be ceded now or ever.
The president, who was at the time speaking on the sidelines of the appointment of several appeal court judges, urged Guyanese, especially those living along the border villages, to continue to fly the golden arrowhead high.
Guyanese know that we are 83,000 square miles, proud and strong, unshakable, unbreakable, and that is how it's going to be.
Nicolas Maduro wants 8 deputies to represent Essequibo in Venezuela's parliament. Voters in an illegal election in Guyana's Essequibo will also choose a governor. The United Nations top court has already ordered the Nicolas Maduro regime to refrain from holding elections for officials who supposedly would oversee Guyana's resource-rich region, Essequibo. The order by the court has been rejected by Venezuela. President Ali stressed that protecting Guyana's sovereignty and territorial integrity remains paramount.
We have always pursued diplomacy and diplomatic efforts with our neighbors itself, regional leaders, the region itself, that's the entire CEDED region, and international community. So diplomacy is an important part, an important plank on which we work. The second issue is, of course, strengthening our own defense system, ensuring that we have the best capability in terms of protecting our sovereignty and territorial integrity.
After years of mediation, Guyana asked the World Court in 2018 to rule that the 1899 border decision is valid and binding. Venezuela argues that a 1966 agreement to resolve the dispute in effect nullified the original arbitration. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Tiana Cole will tell you now that Guyana's judiciary has been further strengthened with the swearing in of 5 new justices to the Court of Appeal.
5 new justices were on Wednesday sworn in to the Court of Appeal, 60% of whom are women. Of the 7 judges recommended for appointment, 5 have now officially taken up their post. The new appellate court judges are Justices Joanne Barlow, Navindra Singh, Nareshwar Harnanan, Priya Sunarayan Bihari, and Dr. Joycelyn Kite Thomas. Justices Damon Young and Rafiq Khan Senior Counsel will be sworn in later. The appointments made on the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission (JSC) are seen as a significant step toward improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the judicial system. President Irfan Ali, in delivering remarks at the swearing-in ceremony, said the appointment of these 5 eminent individuals recommended by the JSC reflects the continuing fortification of the judicial architecture. Their elevation comes at a time when the demand for efficient and expeditious appellate review is greater than ever. He stressed that the expansion of the appellate bench is both timely and necessary.
Your pronouncements will shape jurisprudence, guide future adjudication, and influence the manner in which justice is experienced and upheld in our republic.
He added that with such distinction comes a heightened responsibility, one that demands the utmost diligence and impartiality.
Let your tenure on the appellate bench be marked by a commitment to the ideals of justice, fairness, and equity. Let your service bring honor to the court and inspire confidence in the administration of justice.
The president also emphasized expectations from the new appointments. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
You're watching the HGP Nightly News. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. Thanks for staying with us here in the HGP Nightly News. Government has pledged to pump a further $4 billion towards developing indigenous villages and communities. This was the commitment made by Vice President Barra Jagdeo on Tuesday during the ongoing National Two-Shows Council Conference. Here is more.
More than 240 indigenous villages and communities that fall under the purview of the Ministry of American Affairs will receive a further $4 billion this year from the sale of carbon credits. Vice President Barra Jagdeo, while addressing Day 2 of the ongoing Indigenous Leaders Caucus on Tuesday at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, said that this payout will represent more than 20% of the resources from the sale of carbon credits from the agreement inked with his corporation. Jagdeo said although there was a decrease in the sale of carbon credits this year, his government remains committed to ensuring villages and communities continue to enjoy the same financial support.
And this year it's over 21%, nearly 22% of the resources that you are getting. Because we did not want, because of lower receipts this year, to change the allocation to the villages.
The vice president also noted what he deemed to be efforts to thwart villages from receiving funds from the government's touted Low Carbon Development Strategy, LCDS 2030 agenda.
We're going to fight them robustly. Like the ones who are trying to block the LCDS. They don't have an alternative, but they every day around the world trying to block the low carbon development funds. So I just wanted to ensure that you are aware.
According to Mr. Jagdeo, discussions held with President Irfaan Ali mere hours before engaging Indigenous leaders included government's plan to improve and develop a housing program in the respective villages.
Each of these villages will get $3 million, so people need help.
A pledge was also made to a payout of additional $1 million to villages towards enhancing sporting facilities, in addition to upgrades to roads and bridges. The government of Guyana and Hess Corporation inked an agreement in 2022 where Hess will purchase a high-quality carbon credits from Guyana, adding a minimum of $750 million over the next 10 years to Guyana's coffers. I'm Antonio De reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
A $1 billion oil services financing facility specifically designed to assist local companies involved in the oil and gas sector was officially launched during AFRI XM Bank's 2025 roadshow on Wednesday. Antonio Day will tell you more.
During the AFRI XM Bank roadshow on Wednesday, Okechukwu Ijerika, the financial institution's regional chief operating officer for the Caribbean, announced a $1 billion services facility to be established in Guyana to support companies in the oil and gas sector.
A $1 billion facility to support the local content sector, the local content player. And today, we just want to reassure that it was not just a statement. It was not just a promise, but it's something that we mean and that we want to implement. So this business roadshow is for us to now discuss in details.
With the theme, Empowering Local Content Participation for Sustainable Prosperity, the AFRI XM Bank Roadshow seeks to attract approximately 150 participants from small and medium-sized businesses, manufacturers, financial institutions, government agencies, and the oil and gas industry to make their investment plan a reality. He made the point that some prosperous companies in sectors such as manufacturing, services, and oil and gas are prepared to make significant business proposals or investments, but are hampered by a lack of funding.
The capacity of the local players are hampered because of lack of access to finance. Because sometimes if you want to attain greatness, you have to finance that greatness. So lack of access to finance will mean they may not be able to compete.
AFRI XM is excited about developing a vibrant open port harbor, which promises to enhance trade and stimulate economic growth. This is according to Dr. Ashni Singh, Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance.
You know that AFRI XM Bank also has an interest in the development of deepwater harbor facilities in Guyana, and I'm aware of some proposals in that regard. And so there is investment in port infrastructure.
Speaking about the financial institution's plans to strengthen trades between Africa and the Caribbean diaspora, Dr. Singh stated that some African countries prefer to be producers of particular commodities rather than exporters. In this context, he said Guyana would like to follow this trajectory.
Want no longer to be an exporter of primary commodities, but instead to be a producer, a manufacturer, and an exporter of value-added manufactured products.
Local participation is vital in maximizing the benefits for Guyanese citizens, the forum asserted. I'm Antonio De reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
This is the HGP Nightly News. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. Thanks for staying with us here on the HGP Nightly News. On day 11 of the election fraud trial, businessman Kian Jabor admitted in court to defying police orders and kicking open the door to reach chair of the Guyana Elections Commission, GOV'T Singh, during the controversial 2020 elections. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
During cross-examination by attorney at law Niger Hughes on Wednesday, member of the Innu and United Guyana ANUG and businessman Kian Jabor admitted that he intentionally disobeyed police orders. He acknowledged that he pushed past 2 police officers and proceeded to the 3rd floor of the Ghana Elections Commission GCOM's command center, saying he felt democracy was under threat. He further admitted to kicking open the door to the room where GCOM Chair Claudette Singh was located, despite officers telling him he was not authorized to enter. When asked by the attorney if he had received any formal training in electoral matters or had read any materials related to the conduct of elections, Jabor said no. He also admitted that he was unaware of any law in Guyana that would justify ignoring a police officer's instructions. Upon entering the room, Jabor said he did not speak to Claudette Singh because she appeared unwell, noting that she was sweating profusely. He told the court he was concerned for her health given her age and was later informed that she was not feeling well. Jabor was also questioned about private criminal charges filed against former Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield. He said he could not recall being a complainant in those matters and was also unaware of having given anyone permission to use his name to bring charges. Earlier in the day, Jabor testified that he represented ANUG during the March 2020 elections. He told the court he saw a heavy police presence at the GCOM Command Center on March 5 and witnessed Region 4 returning officer Clement Mingo standing on a balcony, holding a paper speaking while people shouted below. Jabor recounted that Singh eventually exited the building via a back entrance with a police escort. He also witnessed another PPPC member, Charles Ramson, requesting to give Singh a document before he himself left to attend a press conference. Charges in this case stem from extensive investigations into the 2020 elections, which were marred by controversy and political unrest. Several former GCOM officials and political operatives are on trial, accused of conspiring to rig the election outcome. In total, the defendants are facing 19 charges related to alleged electoral fraud. The prosecution has indicated it intends to call approximately 73 witnesses to support its case. Tiana Co reporting for the HGP Night 3 News.
A developing story now. The current administration is seeking an additional $57.5 billion in supplemental funding, just 3 months after it approved a $1.38 trillion budget. According to GOV'T Finance, Shadow Minister of Finance, this raises serious concerns about fiscal transparency and accountability. More details from Antonio Day.
The Ministry of Finance is seeking supplementary funds to support the government's development agenda and program rollout. Just 3 months after the massive $1.38 trillion budget was approved, the government has approached the 103rd session of the National Assembly to request an additional $57.5 billion in supplemental funding. GOV'T Finance, the Alliance for Change's Shadow Minister of Finance, expressed that, and I quote, the original budget of $1.38 trillion was presented as a comprehensive plan for the year. Yet this massive supplementary demand without clear justification suggests either poor planning or a deliberate attempt to bypass scrutiny. End of quote. She stated to this newscast that the financial paper's vague reference to expanded work program is unacceptable. Taxpayers deserve to know exactly how this enormous sum will be spent, particularly in an election year, when the temptation for politically motivated spending is high. The lack of detail fuels suspicion that these funds could be used for partisan purposes rather than genuine national development. This pattern of excessive, unplanned, unexplained spending erodes public trust. If the government cannot accurately project its financial needs at the start of the year, it must at least provide full transparency when seeking additional billions, the Member of Parliament lamented. According to Finance, the government now often avoids answering critical questions in the National Assembly regarding supplemental financial papers. She contends that citizens deserve clear justification before these requests are approved, especially during an election year. Accountability cannot be sacrificed for convenience or worse, political expediency, the Member of Parliament asserted. I am Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned for your regional news.
Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the Regional News. 3 sexual offenders, 1 convicted murderer, a convicted human trafficker, and 4 people who committed immigration violations are among the 21 Trinidadian nationals who are being deported from the United States on Friday. The others were guilty of a host of miscellaneous offenses. Defense Minister Wayne Stroud detailed the major offenses committed by the deportees during an interview at his Temple Court, Port of Spain office. Asked if the sex offenders highlighted by the U.S. authorities will need to register upon their arrival here, Stroud admitted that government will have to make an adjustment to existing laws to deal with that issue. Last Saturday, the Homeland Security Ministry issued a press release stating that the returning individuals, 17 men and 4 women, are currently in U.S. immigration custody. It said the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, had requested a single charter flight to Port of Spain as an efficient means to extradite the group. This will be the second batch of deportees after 11 nationals were deported on March 28. The U.S. Supreme Court let Donald Trump's administration on Tuesday strip temporary protected status from Venezuelans living in the United States that had been granted under his predecessor Joe Biden, as the Republican president moves to ramp up deportations as part of his hardline approach to immigration. The court granted the Justice Department's request to lift San Francisco-based U.S. District Judge Edward Chin's order that had halted Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's decision to terminate the deportation protection conferred to Venezuelans under the Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, program. The court's brief order was unsigned, as is typical when the justices act on an emergency request. The court, however, left open a door to any challenges by migrants if the administration seeks to invalidate work permits or other TPS-related documents that were issued to expire in October 2026, which is the end of the TPS period extended by Biden. The Department of Homeland Security has said about 348,202 Venezuelans were registered under Biden's 2023 TPS designation. Two top aides of Mexico City Mayor Carla Brigada were shot dead after being ambushed by gunmen on a motorbike in a daytime attack in the city center on Tuesday. The victims were the mayor's private secretary, Ximena Guzman, and an advisor to Brigada, Jose Manuz, according to a statement from the city. Initial reports indicated Guzman had been driving to work and stopped on a busy avenue in downtown Mexico City to pick up her colleague, an official at the federal prosecutor's office said. Manuz was approached by 2 gunmen on a motorbike who shot and killed him in the street. The attackers then fired at least 4 shots at Guzman inside her vehicle, killing her. Authorities have not yet given a motive for the attack, although security experts say it appeared to be a hit carried out by organized crime. The assassinations have sent shockwaves through Mexico's capital, widely regarded as an oasis of relative security in a country plagued by violence. Political violence has become common in many parts of Mexico, where scores of local political candidates have been assassinated in killings, usually linked to drug cartels seeking to exert influence. Thank you for watching. I am Tiana Cole.
U.S. reaffirms commitment to transparent, peaceful elections in Guyana. Ambassador says political stability is important. Not a square inch will be ceded, says President Ali, ahead of Venezuela's illegal elections, and government to inject $4 billion into indigenous villages and communities in 2025. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website, It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.